Stephen A. Smith and the Mad Dog are split on Kellen Moore Tanola. Ladies and gentlemen, today the backdrop, ESPN First Take. It's always interesting to hear what the national media has to say about the New Orleans Saints, especially when they get their newest head coach. Kellen Moore, officially named the head coach of the New Orleans Saints this week. We have talked about it at length, but I want to hear what the national guys have to say. I want to hear what the guys who don't cover the team virtually at all, and by virtually I mean literally at all, have to say about this hire, and we're going to react along the way, ladies and gentlemen.
Is it a mistake for Kellen Moore to take the Saints job?
A couple of things. First off, today I'm a very lucky man. First it was Eminem, now it's Kimberley sitting in my seat. What's up, girl? I really appreciate you. I appreciate y'all making sure that doggy wasn't sitting in my seat. That's very important to me. I don't want to contaminate it. So now that we got that out the way, let's get down to business here. I'm not usually one to be salty about somebody upgrading. I mean, we're a capitalist society. Get yours. I'm all for it.
True.
I don't like this for Kellen Moore. I'm going to tell you why. First of all, let's talk pedigree. You got Frank Reich. You got Shane Steichen. You got Jonathan Gannon. They all were coordinators for the Philadelphia Eagles. How was life once they became head coaches? Not very good. Not very good, okay? That's number one.
All right, current number one argument is that a head coach or a coordinator for the Eagles does not make a good head coach. That is the first argument being made here.
Even though Gannon and Steichen still got their jobs. That's number one. Number two.
Now, Steichen was a fourth down dropped pass away from winning the division in his first year with the Colts, but who cares?
I'm looking at the Saints cap situation. They're $54.1 million over the cap for 2025. That's the worst in the National Football League. So you walking into that situation?
So, yep, Saints have had cap issues. We've talked about that. They kicked the can down the road, no doubt about it, just like the Philadelphia Eagles do. The Saints are going to clear their cap. They'll be under the cap. In 2026, they have about $60 million under the cap. In 2027, they have $220 million under the cap. So the narrative that the Saints are salary restricted, salary cap hell, whatever, the lazy narrative that just gets thrown around nonstop, that is coming to an end. Now, if you are a forward-thinking 36-year-old hypothetical, let's just call it 36-year-old head coach getting your first job, maybe it's smart to give yourself a runway of, man, yeah, it's a bad situation now financially, but in 1-2 years, I'm going to have a ton of money to play with here.
I don't
maybe
like
that's a
that.
Good decision.
Okay, that's number two. You going from there to from Jalen Hurts to Derek Carr. I like Derek.
Potentially. Derek Carr could get moved on from. He could be released, could be traded. Not a guarantee there, but,
Carr's a person, okay? And I'm certainly not saying he's a scrub. But the brother got one playoff appearance in 11 years. I'm going to say that again. One playoff appearance in 11 years.
You know what always confuses me? Is whenever the argument for a coach taking a new job or a coordinator taking a new job, it's like, the new team isn't as good as your old team. No shit. The new team fired their head coach the previous season. The old team in this situation won the Super Bowl. All of these coordinators, everyone that's taking a new job, they're all going to worse situations. The whole reason, they don't work without each other. The job isn't open unless something bad happened. You are not available for a head coaching job unless you are coming from a successful situation. Every single one. Every one. Okay? Every one of them. Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn. Aaron Glenn is going from the Detroit Lions to the New York Jets. Absolute disaster. Ben Johnson going from Jared Goff to Caleb Williams. Going from the Lions to the Bears. So we know the Saints have had trouble. That's why they fired Dennis Allen. That is why they're hiring Kellen Moore in the first place.
One in 11 years. And I'm looking at Alvin Kamara. He's approaching 30. Taysom Hill. Rashid Shaheed. I like Chris Olave, but I'm just saying, I'm looking at the Eagles' offensive line. I'm looking at the dual threat to the wideout spot. I got Saquon Barkley.
No doubt about it. If the argument is that the Eagles are better than the Saints, no doubt about it, can confirm the Eagles are better than the Saints. But it is a head coaching job. It is a guy who has been an offensive coordinator since 2019. You're getting a chance to finally break in when your stock is the highest it will ever be. If he returned to Philly and said, no, I'm going to take my chance next year, he could have got Bobby Slowick. Bobby Slowick went from last year being a head coaching candidate to this year, or this upcoming year, he's going to be the passing game coordinator for the Dolphins. Okay? You never know when you're going to get your chance to be the head coach. You never know the situation that's going to happen. So the argument that, well, Philly's better, for sure. But the question is being an offensive coordinator at Philly better than taking that next step and being a head coach in the National Football League?
And you got the coach in Nick Sirianni like, don't leave. Stay. Let's run this back. And I'm leaving for New Orleans under these circumstances. God bless him. He's been a coordinator for 6 years, 4 in Dallas, 1 in Philly, 1 in the Chargers. I get it. You know, top 3 passing attack in 20 and 2023 for the Eagles and Chargers respectively. Top rushing attack this year. So he adapts to the talent. I get him. He deserves it. I'm not knocking him in terms of he deserves the opportunity. I'm just saying, I wish it was a better situation than New Orleans.
Phoebe, just say you're afraid of a challenge. Just say that. Just say you're afraid of a challenge.
Well, I'm not afraid of a challenge. I've accepted challenges all my life.
Which is why I'm very, very surprised by this take of yours, because I haven't heard you say it's a mistake that Aaron Glenn left the Detroit Lions to come and be the head coach of the Jets. I didn't hear you say that.
I got to worry about those opportunities. Ain't too many of those going to get. That's where I was coming from with that, if I'm being honest.
But here's where I got you. Because as a black man, when you know that the opportunities are few and far between, that Jet situation is going to take a lot of work and a lot of patience, something that Woody Johnson doesn't always show. So if you're going to sit up here and say, Kellen Moore, I don't know, I don't love this for you. A lot of these head coaching positions, I don't love for a lot of these guys. But
now we're talking. Hombre on the left must be watching my channel. She's sounding real smart right now.
You know as well as anybody that there are only 32. And when you have the opportunity, unless you are going to be in a Ben Johnson type of situation and say, I don't know, my current team needs to pay me more to stay, otherwise you need to go. And I think, Kellen Moore, to your point, this is a huge undertaking. The New Orleans Saints have to show a lot of patience. With that cap space, they got to...
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. It's perfect. The whole reason I was against Mike McCarthy and some of these other guys is like, well, we got a lot to do in the next couple of years. Do you want someone that's going to be here for 3, 4, 5 years? 5 years is a lot for McCarthy. But no, you want someone who can grow and build and create his own identity with the New Orleans Saints and the next era of the New Orleans Saints. You want someone who's going to lean into that, who's going to be growing and expanding and exploring and evolving for the next couple of years with the team, as the team sheds the old cap, gets under the cap, gets that $220 million under the cap that I was talking about in 2027, gets these draft picks, like the top 10 draft pick they have this year, who knows next year, rebuild the roster, find the next iterations of the Alvin Kamara, the Mark Ingram, the Drew Brees, the Marcus Colston, the Michael Thomas, all the Jimmy Graham, all the players that we've known and loved for the Saints. Who's the next version of that? Who's the next Marshawn Lattimore? Who's the next Demario Davis? Who's the next Cam Jordan? Right? So you want someone like that. And who better than the youngest coach in the NFL next year, Kellen Moore? Who better to do that than Kellen Moore? The team will have patience. The Saints have been one of the most patient franchises in the NFL. Certainly more patient than the suckbag franchises like the Jets or the Jaguars or the Cowboys, some of these other landing spots. Okay, are the Saints a perfect job, a perfect situation? No, they won 5 games last year. But they are far from the worst situation.
To clear almost $72 million just to get to the salary cap. It is not going to be good. A lot of contracts, a lot of expensive guys, a lot of decisions. But again, if Kellen Moore is given that patience, which they've had Mickey Loomis there forever, right?
Yep.
They've had the same structure there.
They will be patient. No doubt about it. They will be patient with Kellen.
There forever. So if they give him that patience, it could work out for him.
Has to take the job. You're 100% right, Kimberly.
Yes.
And I understand Steve's point, but remember, most of these jobs, these are bad teams.
Yeah, thank you.
Jacksonville's a bad, these aren't great because the good team doesn't
Jacksonville
need the
sucks.
coach that much
Right.
because they're always good. These jobs come across because these are bad organizations to a large degree. And the Ben Johnson situation is a little different. The Lions did not win a Super Bowl. They lost in a championship game. He won a Super Bowl. What else is he supposed to do? He got to strike when the iron's hot.
Exactly. What are you going to run it back? Run it back. We won the Super Bowl. Anything besides a repeat, which is incredibly difficult to do, anything else is a step backwards. Anything else is lessening your stock. And again, you have no idea what is going to be available next year. You have no idea the situations that you're going to be walking into. So, yeah, I agree 100%. Strike while the iron's hot.
He had a great year, so as a result, they come calling. I think you got to take the job.
Yes.
And I understand Stevie's point. It's the Saints, but it is a bad division. Carr's not terrible. It's Carolina, it's Tampa, and it's Atlanta. They should be pretty competitive. They can win 8-9 games. It's not that bad.
Thank you.
So from that standpoint, listen, is it ideal?
No.
No,
But it's
yeah.
a job he had to take.
I wouldn't.
Genius. Russo's a genius. What's his name? Kimberley, genius. Stephen A. just read the depth chart. There you go. Yeah, I mean, you got to take the job. No doubt about that. No doubt about that. And now the challenge is in front of him. I'm excited to see what Kellen Moore does with it. Ladies and gentlemen, get on down in the comments below. What would you have done if you were Kellen Moore? That's the question today. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video.